Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. I just did a April garden tour of our full backyard, and I included a very large percentage, almost all of my plants, but there's some that I didn't mention. And today I was going to go through those and some of the mistakes I have made. I mentioned that I am a beginning gardener, and I have had my gardens now for 2 years, and a lot of the mistakes I have made have been trial by fire, and some of it's just I'm stubborn and I've wanted to try things just because I want to, and I've had some losses because of that. But this first plant is not a mistake, and I'm surprised I didn't mention it. It happens to be a John Fanick phlox, and this is a native to Texas. In fact, it was even discovered in San Antonio. And I'm going to bring up the tag here. John Fanick is a paniculata phlox. It's a perennial. It has a gorgeous ball of a bloom, and I'm going to turn it around here. It likes full sun. It did really well for me last year, and it bloomed gloriously. So I purchased another one. I did a rookie mistake, and I planted a John Fanick phlox here in the same pot, even though it is a very large pot, with my wonderful purple porterweed. And if I had it to do all over again, I would not do that. But it is coming back nicely. And the pollinators love it. And it was very easy to grow. So maybe I'll be able to add more of this type of phlox in my garden. Another plant I didn't mention was this one back here. And this is a Blew My Mind dwarf morning glory. I'm going to bring up the tag. And I actually planted 3 in here, and only 1 came back from the freeze. And if you'll notice, it only goes to zones 9A, which I am in, and it says it's hardy to 20 degrees. And it got below that in our December freeze, and only this 1 came back. And that doesn't surprise me because we were not able to cover this small bed because of priorities. We wanted to save other things. But that's another thing I want to mention. I'm going to pan back. So 1 second. I am now at the south fence of my yard, and I planted this bed, created this bed, asked my husband to create it for me in the early summer, and it had full sun, and it was wonderful, and I loved it. And then fall came, and I watched the sun march across my yard from the shade from the fence. And for part of the year, it is in total shade. So that is another rookie mistake, not looking to see what sun patterns look like. And of course, I had just started gardening, so that didn't matter to me at the time, or it wasn't even on my radar. So rookie mistake. I would never probably do this again because I don't like the fact that it is in full shade for, golly, a good 4 to 5 months out of the year. Another plant I didn't mention in my garden tour was this one. And I really liked it when I bought it. It is a red hot poker, and it blooms beautifully. Well, it is now covered. So let me bring up the tag. I actually got this, picked this up at a Lowe's. Turn the tag around here. You can see that it needs direct sun. It is nice and hardy. And the first year it bloomed wonderfully. But I planted my beautiful Amistad salvia too close to it. Another rookie mistake. Not looking and really believing all the dimensions of these plants. I couldn't imagine a salvia getting as large as this one has. It is over, it's taller than me, and I'm 5 feet 5 inches. And it is spreading out beautifully, and I love it. And I'll either have to move my red hot poker or just resign myself to the fact that it's going to be hidden. I didn't mention this pot in my backyard garden tour video, but I have mentioned it in prior videos. And it is a pot of Vermillionaire Kufia, or cigar plant, and a Racelia, or a firecracker plant. And the Vermillionaire is here. I combined them in the same pot. It's something I wouldn't do again. This one's vertical. The Racelia is vertical, and it blooms tubular flowers also. The hummingbirds love both. And even though this is a very large pot, these two compete, and I would never do that again. So I'm now very hesitant to try to split them because their roots are heavily intertwined and I don't want to lose them. So I guess that's another rookie mistake. Over here in my plant starting area, I have 2 plumbagos that I just potted, and I bought them last year, and they lived in their pot for a year, poor things, because I just didn't know what to do with them. And this one is a white plumbago, and this one is a blue. And I'm going to bring up the tag for the blue. And they were in their tiny nursery pots. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do with them. I watched videos where plumbago get all huge and out of control, and I didn't want that to happen. So I just didn't really know what to do with it. And it stayed in its little nursery pot, and goodness gracious, both of them survived. So I thought, all right, let's give it a chance. And so I have up potted them into a nicer and much larger pot, and we'll see if that triggers anything. Maybe they'll think, she's not too bad. For all you seed starting experts indoors, my hat's off to you, because I didn't find it very easy. This is a little row of balloon milkweed that I started indoors, and I left them in their tray too long. They got too spindly. I brought them outside to harden them off, and they got soaked. So I am going to see if the poor things can make it in the ground. Same thing with my Tithonia that I started indoors. It's doing a little better. I don't know if it loves its home here in the south bed too much, but in my trellis bed it's doing much better. These are the same Tithonia plants. Started from seed indoors, and they like their home over here in the trellis bed much better. I don't have any problem starting seed directly outdoors, so sowing directly into the ground. I've had a lot of luck with zinnias, for one example, but when I direct seed, a lot of times what happens is I'll have squirrel pressure just come in and dig them up. And so I thought, well, let's try seeds from indoors. Let's see what that does. And it's going to take some practice for me because I wasn't too great at it this year. Oh, well, you live and learn. Gardening is definitely enjoyable. You do see the fruits of your labor. and it is pretty forgiving. Thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope you have a great day.